Do you ever boot up your Wii and it...
No.
Shut up. Do you ever boot up your Wii and it doesn't appear on your computer screen?
Actually, yeah.
I think that's gonna be a 100% yeah rate, because how could it? What, are you just gonna plug your Wii into your computer to play Wii games on your computer? No, you're not gonna do that because...
Oh, cause emulation?
No, shut up. You're not gonna do that because it's kinda dumb. And if the kids at school found out you did this, you'd be mega dumb. And what do you do when the kids at school call you mega dumb? No, you don't do that! What you do is secretly game on your Wii. What if your Wii was inside your computer, where no one had to see it, and nobody had to know? This all started in the year 1998, when I wasn't born yet. Then, in 1999, I was born. And 25 years later, I've absorbed enough lead into my blood to decide to hide a Wii inside of a computer. There are several reasons apart from shame to do this. Maybe you want to stream your favorite Wii or GameCube games on the internet in terrible quality, but you just can't stand to look at the damn thing. I don't need to go over all the reasons anyway. They're completely obvious. And to be honest, I don't really care what the best use case for this thing would be anyway. I'm just here to stick my Wii where it doesn't belong. Let's break this hypothetical marriage of PC and Wii into the major food groups. You've got your Wii, your case, your motherboard, CPU, SSD, RAM, and power supply. Plus all the other computery stuff down there. But which case, which motherboard, which CPU, SSD, RAM, and power supply? Probably not this one. For the SSD and RAM, we'll just, I don't know, throw a terabyte NVMe and some RAM I found in a puddle in there. To pick a power supply, we need to know how much power our system is gonna draw. But to know that, we need to pick a motherboard and CPU. But we can't pick a motherboard without picking a CPU. But we can't pick a CPU without knowing if we're gonna have room for a GPU. But we don't know that until we figure out where the Wii motherboard is gonna sit inside the computer. And now this is where you expect me to say, well, we can't figure that out until we pick a case. But
Joke's on you, I already picked it. Because at some point, you just have to make a damn decision on where to start with these things.
this is the Fractal Pop Mini Air. I purchased it in September of 2024, before this project was even a twinkle in my dirty Bringus eye, because of one feature.
There's like a little drawer in here. I just thought it would be a good place to hide your wheat.
So we have a case. It's not a very big case, but in my line of work, I do a fair bit of stuffing things into tight spaces, so I'm not too worried about that.
Holy f***. It's Mickey Mouse.
Our next unknown. Where and how, and honestly, if a Wii U motherboard is gonna fit in here next to a PC motherboard. Oh, did I forget to mention we're actually playing Hide the Wii U? It's got native HDMI output, and it gains us an additional 4 games to play, so I figured, why not? Luckily, I happen to have a Wii U motherboard that's surrounded by a bunch of plastic crap right here. Before we go ripping it apart though, I figured I might as well increase its usefulness by an order of magnitude by soft modding it, and that's easier when it's still in one piece. Oh, and we also need to have a funeral for the Miis, as is tradition. Corby B, DD, Guest 2, HJ, Marv, and Mr. B. Rest in peace. Goodbye forever. That soft modding process ended up taking a really long time, mostly because of things like, it's been mere seconds and we already have crusted over snot. Cool. Why is the battery now 0? Connect the endoscope camera by what is this? The disk you attached was not readable by this computer. It's completely frozen! Come on, man! So if you want to see that whole disaster, you'll have to head over to the video on my second channel, link in description. But okay, operating under the assumption that the Wii U motherboard is gonna just kind of fit in there no problem, how are we gonna interconnect the two? You know, all that cable-y bits. Because I want this to be one cohesive emulsification of PC and Wii. Ideally, it should be as simple as opening up a program and bam, you're in a Nintendo game on your PC. No, not like that! Close that now! Don't you know they're always watching? In short, we need a way to pipe the video from the Wii U over to a window on the PC. And until Matt KC is finished with his gamepad emulator thing, the best we've got is hooking up the HDMI output from the Wii U up to a capture card that's inside of the PC. For storing all of our games, we can mount a hard drive inside of the PC case and then hook it up with a SATA to USB adapter. That should work, since the Wii U can natively read external hard drives, and adapting a SATA drive to USB is pretty much all that most consumer external hard drives are doing anyway. I'm also hoping that we can find a way to relocate the optical drive over to the front, despite the fact that, you know, optical media bad!
rad!
It's gonna be tricky though, since that's quite the distance to cover, and obscure ribbon cables can be pretty difficult to find, let alone find in longer lengths than the original. The final key thing that I want to integrate inside of the PC is gonna be one of those USB GameCube controller adapters, since, if we're being honest, a Wii U is mostly just a roided out Wii with an HDMI port, which itself is just a roided out GameCube with an HDMI port, and if this all works out the way I'm hoping, it's all gonna hide away really nicely with the way they did these 5 1/4 bays.
Okay, so a project like this is gonna be a shitload of 3D printed parts. Luckily for me, I've called in reinforcements from the sponsor of today's video, Bamboo Lab.
I personally purchased a Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon back in 2023 because as far as I had heard from basically everybody, it was the best thing that you could get without trading in a car for the down payment. The value was just incredible for what it could do. And gosh darn it, Bamboo went and became the value king again. This is the Bamboo Lab A1, and that big mother hubbard next to it is the AMS Lite multi-material system. It prints fully wireless, it's got a textured magnetic bed, it's got an LCD touchscreen, it's got a fully automatic poop flinger! And most dope of all, it can print in multicolor. I have 3D printed a disc cracker. It goes by the name Big Disc Energy. Oh yeah! Who would have thought optical media could be so much fun? Check out both the A1 and the A1 Mini and figure out which one is best for you by using my link in the description. Oh, so much technology! Okay, so the first thing I want to test... The first thing I want to test is if the SATA SSDs that I bought are gonna play nice with this thing. They're crucial, so probably. We're gonna be hooking them up with these here StarTech USB 3 to SATA adapters. There are many like them, but the StarTech ones in particular are the most reliable in my experience. Now let's hope we can experience some more reliability here. I've been told that the front of the Wii U is where you want to plug your drive in, so we'll just stick that right there. Format USB storage device, okay. Format. USB storage device has been connected. Do you want to format? Yes, I do. Jeez, just get it on with, come on. All right, there we go. All right, now let's see if we can install a game to it. Install content. Oh, that's quite ominous. Oh, battery's dying. Who would have thunk it? Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. Very legal and very cool. And she's off. Installation finished. Do we have a game? You bet your ass we do. Does it start?
Nope.
DLC is corrupted. That's fine, didn't need it anyway. It's only 672 kilobytes. I'm guessing that's kind of just like a license key that unlocks the DLC that's in the update. Okay, whatever, we don't need it. Goodbye. Can we start the game now? The ID used to purchase the software has been deleted? DRM? On my modded console? Uh-oh, noob alert, noob alert. John Bringus caught trying to boot a game without SIG patches. Game starting now.
Nope.
What? Restart, and the game works now. Ah, what did I tell you? First try. Man, rip that DLC for no reason, though. Hey, ain't nobody ever said it was an easy path, avoiding optical media like the plague. So that works. Most external hard drives, like spinning hard drives, not SSDs like this, they need you to split the USB cable into 2 USB cables, one for power and one for data.
It is data.
Because the USB ports here on the Wii U, they don't provide a ton of current. But luckily an SSD doesn't really draw that much current, so it works fine on just one USB port. Makes our life a little easier. Oh, I forgot I bought styluses too. All right, but what about second SSD? This one is going to be used for Wii games. But what the f***, I hear you say? You got a whole terabyte. Why don't you put your Wii U games and your Wii games on this thing? And to that I say, yeah. Wouldn't that be cool? Unfortunately, Wii U Homebrew has not evolved to let us use one SSD. Nature had other plans. So we will be using 2 identical SSDs, one of which will be for the Wii and the other for the Wii U. And look at that, if we had one more, we could do the meme. Ah, nice, there it is. Ooh woo. All right, Wii games have been transferred. If I remember correctly, you're supposed to use the rear USB port for this. Do you want to format the device? No, that sounds completely counterintuitive. USB loader GX. Waiting for hard drive. Okay, hold on. What about the other port? That one works, okay. But it appears... Oh, it appears I'm a dumbass. It appears that we have our games. Can we run a game? Looks like it's running to me. Okay, Wii U is good, Wii is good. Well, how about GameCube? For GameCube, we've got this here USB GameCube controller adapter. It's very third-party, don't tell the purists. I think the dimensions of these third-party ones are pretty much exactly the same as OEM though, so it should be fine. Actually, what am I talking about? I'm literally the one building this. One of these USB ports is not required, but I don't remember which. So you only need to plug is one USB, parentheses, the black one. Thank you, Reddit. In goes is the black one. For GameCube, we're gonna use Nintendo. And now I think it's as simple as just plugging a controller in. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, this works great. This is fantastic. Oh, this is gonna work so well. This is coming together great. Okay, so everything works separately, but now we gotta see if it's all gonna work together. Because when this thing is gonna be all up inside of a PC case, I can't necessarily swap around hard drives and controller adapters and all that. So we're gonna also plug in the Wii U hard drive. Okay, Wii SSD, Wii U SSD, GameCube controller adapter. Can we still do everything? Oh, here we go. 2 or more USB storage devices are connected. Is this a problem? You can only use one USB storage device at the Wii U menu. Please turn off the console and disconnect the USB storage device you're not using. Okay, so that's not gonna work. What if we just hit OK? Oh. Yeah, I don't think that's allowed. Let me try that one more time. Okay, that is very much not allowed. Huh. It sounds like there is a way that we can stop the drive from being detected in a couple different ways. I have obtained the Homebrew App Store. Wow, there is a lot you can do here. System font replacer with Comic Sans. Never mind, there's nothing you can do here. This homebrew stops the Wii U asking to format a USB. That's kind of our problem. Let's try it. Okay, only the Wii game SSD is currently connected. Wait, why are there 2? I think it's currently seeing the controller adapter as a hard drive. All right, one more time. Well, there's still 2. Okay, well, I'll just hide both of them, I guess. Wii U SSD going back in. Controller port going back in. Oh, hey, it didn't complain. Wii U hard drive and GameCube controller adapter confirmed working fine. And Wii games are still working fine. Okay, great. Now there's one more thing that whoa, why does it look like that? Oh, it's all stretched. That's weird. Okay, something is telling me that we're not gonna be able to connect the Wii SSD to the computer properly anymore. I don't know, something about that USB hide tool just doesn't sit well with me. Let me see if it's still accessible. Oh my god, there's too much crap on the desk.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, look at that. It's showing up as unallocated. Let me try and unhide it and see if it pops up. Yep, that did it. Everything's back. Note to self, unhide the drive before I go to add anything.
Oh, wait. Hold on, if the drive is unhidden now, and I go to plug it back in, aren't we just gonna get that error message? Yeah. Okay, this is not good. So what am I supposed to do? Okay, I'm pretty sure the Windows tool that had the same name, I think that can do what we just did here. So I'll have to unhide it on the Wii U, and then re-hide it on Windows. Let me see if that works. Okay, disk has been hidden. Boom, no error. Okay, those all work together quite nicely. There is one more thing though that I need to throw into this mix. A USB switch. This way I can claim that there's both a Wii U and a Switch in here. No, this is required to actually facilitate the connection of being connected to a computer and the Wii U at kind of the same time. The way this works is that one end of it goes into your PC, and the other end of it goes into your Wii U. I'm sure that's how everyone else is using it at least. Then you plug in whatever you want to share between those 2 devices right here. But this I expect to kind of just work. You know, there's only one port, there's only one thing that's going to be able to use that one port at a time. It'll probably be fine. However, there's also this one. This one is dual port. That means there's likely an internal hub. I don't know if the Wii U can handle reading from the drives over a hub. They probably just have to be directly connected. Ideally, we can use the Ugreen one because while they are typically a sponsor of the channel, but not today, 2 ports is gonna be a hell of a lot better than 1 because I wanna be able to send the Wii hard drive back to the computer to add games, but I also wanna send the controller adapter through so that you can use this with Dolphin or whatever, and we need 2 ports to do that. Oh no. Oh, this is cursed. USB-A for input, makes sense. USB-A for output. Oh god, that means the cables. No, no, Ugreen, you can't do this, no! You're not supposed to do this. This is like having the AC cable that just has another AC cable on the other end. No, you cannot do that. When I was a kid, I found one of these cables at the thrift store, and I was like, hey, that seems really useful. I can plug one into my laptop and one into my desktop, and I can transfer files between them. And anyone that's tried that before will tell you that that's not what happens. You don't transfer files, you transfer electricity. Lucky for me, the only thing that stopped working was the USB port on the desktop. That probably should have killed both computers. So be careful with these cables, kids. Wii SSD, GameCube controller adapter. This goes into the Wii U, and then this one goes to my PC, which is off screen because there's already way too much stuff on the table. Powering on. All right, who gets it first? What happens if I hit the button? Oh, despite being unallocated, we did get the disc on the computer. And after flipping the switch on the GameCube adapter to PC mode, our controller is working beautifully. Okay, things are working great on the PC front. How about here? Oh no, the GameCube controller doesn't work over the hub. Oh no. Well, that's not good. All right, plan B, Sabrent. All right, are we working? No. Switch. Are we working? Yes. All right, well, that's a shame. Let me try one more thing. I also bought this USB hub. Maybe the hub that's in the Ugreen switcher is just not compatible. Maybe this one is. I'm telling you guys, I thought of everything for this. Hub into switch. GameCube controller adapter into hub. What are the odds? 0. Wait, we're on B. A. No way. Wait, that works? Huh. Okay, well, it's a good thing this video was not sponsored by Ugreen, or that was about to be a really awkward conversation. Okay, next. Can we plug the Wii SSD into the hub as well? And... oh, it got past the USB initialization? No, it didn't. It didn't. I thought it did, but it did not. Well, that's a shame. But it still works on the switcher without the hub, right? Yes, okay. All right, well, that's unfortunate. It just kind of complicates the setup a little. Okay. Proof of concept complete. And this was the easy part.
I am having some thinking thoughts at the moment. These are not our final components. Hell, I haven't even chosen the final ones yet. So here is our Wii U motherboard, and I gotta figure out where it's possibly gonna go. What I'm gonna focus on to figure that out is the DVD drive ribbon cable port. I don't know how long of a cable we're gonna be able to run, you know, because like signal integrity and all that. So I want that connector to stay down here toward that void. That's where the DVD drive is gonna go, so we gotta keep that run as short as we can. Which means we can have the motherboard some kind of way like this, or we can flip it around and have it kind of like this, or we could flip the orientation and then slot it down here. That connector is still decently close like this. We could even shift it forward a bit. That gives us enough clearance to plug all of our ports in. Whatever GPU we put in should still be able to breathe enough. And the airflow from the GPU might actually be enough to cool the entire Wii U. I'm not even kidding. These things don't really draw that much power. However, if we do it like this, it's going to completely block off the bottom PCI Express slot. That means we'd have to go with a USB capture card, which is fine. They're just as good as PCI Express ones nowadays for the most part. And then what if we did this? We could flip it again upside down. Now you see, that looks kind of cool because of that silver backplate. I like how that looks. I really like how that looks. However, that might starve our GPUs. Yeah, they're really close to the fans. Okay, well, we can test that later. We don't even know what GPU we have yet, so it's really hard to try and plan this without the right components. I don't think it's really feasible to try and put the board here because we can't really, you know, the distance to plug into like the HDMI stuff is real slim. I know they make like really slim connector cables and we could maybe do that, but I don't know, not really sure about that. You know, we could do something kind of stupid like this. The airflow's completely gonna go to shit, but you know what? It does fit, and we do get a lot of clearance to plug in our HDMI. God, that airflow though. The Wii U would be very cool. Everything else would be very not. If it turns out we can actually extend the DVD drive cable pretty far, we could even put it up here. That would be kind of interesting, but that cable would make such a long run. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think our best bet right now is putting it down here right under the GPU. This has its own considerations because it's gonna block off some of the ports down there on the motherboard, like the front audio and the I/O and all that crap. But there's creative solutions to that. And this puts the connector where we need it to be. Plenty of room for hooking up these rear ports. Cooling is going to be interesting for multiple components, but I'm pretty confident we can figure that out. So I think for now, this is how we're gonna do it.
If we're gonna commit to mounting the Wii U's motherboard at the bottom like this, we're gonna have to set some expectations for the PC's motherboard. It has to be micro ATX, because, well, the case is micro ATX. The PCI Express slot for the GPU has to use the topmost slot on the case. We don't have enough clearance for the GPU to sit any lower than it already is. We need a USB 3 connector to hook up our internal USB devices. And it has to be USB 3 since the capture card needs that extra bandwidth. That USB 3 connector, though, cannot be located at the bottom of the motherboard. It's just such a gigantic connector. There's no chance we'll be able to fit this thing in here with the Wii U motherboard down there at the same time. And lastly, be pretty and white.
Just like me.
Narrowing it down to 3 potential motherboards, I think our best bet is gonna be the Aorus B650M Elite AX Ice. And they seriously missed an opportunity to reverse these two and just call it the B650M Ice Axe. The USB 3 connector is at the bottom, but it's a 90-degree angle one, so it shouldn't cause any problems. I've never built an AM5 PC before. Whew, this thing is bougie. We'll use this Ryzen 5 because it's a CPU. For the GPU, the requirements are pretty simple. Be white and be slim, yet lengthy enough to not die of asphyxiation. The best thing that I can find that takes up less than 2.5 slots and costs less than a week of rent is the ASRock Radeon RX 7600 Steel Legend. It's not really a screamer by any means, but come on, we're already putting a Wii U/Wii/GameCube into this thing. How much gaming do you need? Admittedly, an Intel Arc B580 would have been kind of cool, but those are currently residing in Scalp City, which makes no sense because nobody's gonna pay for a scalped budget GPU. People will just take that money and then just go get something better. Wait, people are buying these? What do you mean? What do you do? Just go get this Chode 4060 or something for that money. What the? We've just about got a whole computer for our Wii U. Only the power supply is left now. The biggest consideration for our power supply is the same as any old PC. Buy something with enough watts to power everything in the computer. But considering there's a Wii U in our computer, we also have to factor in the power that's gonna be drawing. And on that note, how does one plug a Wii U into a PC power supply? I mean, they don't exactly have 120 volt AC outlets on them. I mean, okay, well they do, but that's an input, smartass. Well, lucky for us, PC power supplies output most of their voltage as 12 volts. See right there, 12 volts and a whole lot of amps. And if you look at the adapter for the Wii U, this is also outputting 12 volts. Wait, what the f? No, it's not. Since when were these 15 volts? Oh, no, it was the Wii. The Wii is 12 volts. Well, this complicates things. So we can't plug the Wii U into the power supply if the voltages don't match. And that was kind of my whole plan. In my disarray, I decided to contact an expert by the name of Shank Mods, who's known not only for making some of the greatest console mods of all time, but also he was in my car once. And his expert advice? Just send it. So to conduct this experiment, basically, we're gonna take this power cable, chop off the Wii U end of it. Don't worry, it's third party, its life doesn't matter.
Wire it up to the variable power supply, and then set her to 12 volts.
I would trust Shank with my life, much less my Wii U. Hello? I am having a third party moment. And... oh, hold on. What if we turned on the Wii U? I need a faceplate. I will stick the fan in there for good measure. Power on. There's no light on it. Usually the light is red if it's getting power, but it's not on. What if we just... no? Really? Hold on. Unplug. Adjust this to 15 volts. That's what it's supposed to have. Oh, yep. Then look at that. There's our red light. All right. Well, that's sad. Time to get the boost converter involved. The boost converter's job is simple. Make more volt out of less volt. And how does it do that? You're gonna have to find another channel for that one, buddy. You know it's nice when it comes with a manual. So this is supposed to be as simple as just taking our 12-volt wires and sticking them in here, and then turn on our power supply, and we'll see what we got coming out. Okay, that's 26 volts. So that means we're gonna have to adjust our little thingy here. Oh, we gotta go way down. All the way down to 15, just about 15 right there. Good enough, 15 volts. Then we plug in our Wii U power cable, and then we grab our Wii U. This is kind of terrifying. Also, if you've never seen this monstrosity before, I'm shooting this out of order, so it'll make sense at some point. Okay, in we go. This is either gonna power our Wii U or completely fucking kill it. And... huh? Good sign? Oh, it turned off. Bad sign. Oh, wait, hold on, this makes sense. I forgot, you can't pull that many amps from this power supply. It kinda sucks. Okay, we'll move it over to the real deal then. We'll plug it into an actual computer power supply. This baby can do 14 amps on the 12-volt rail, so I think we'll be okay. Please don't blow up. We're still at 15 volts. Okay, let's try it. And... fans on. I think we're good to go. All right, cool. I guess this boost thing is gonna work. Bringing this back around to the original predicament, what power supply are we buying? Our PC is calculated to draw around 430 watts, and the Wii U's power adapter is rated for 15 volts at 5 amps. Multiply those together and you get 75 watts. Add that to the PC's total, and our combined Wii C is going to be demanding at least 505 watts. And that is a lame number. A 500 watt power supply won't be enough. 550 is cutting it too close. And if I'm buying a 600 watt, well, I'm already here. Might as well go 650. I expertly picked the first one that didn't look like a fire hazard, and now we have a Corsair RM650. I think this model's been around for like 12 years or something. But you know what they say, old but gold. Am I right? Get it? Because it's 80 plus gold? Well, because it's 80 plus gold. Because it's 80 plus gold. Well, did you see? It's 80 plus gold. Well, it's 80 plus gold. Oh, man. This is such a shame. What a nice motherboard. It's gonna feel so bad when I f this thing up somehow. Our graphic designer spec memory. First. Okay, that's actually hella useful though. No need to consult Manuel on the memory positions. The CPU. I'm pretty sure this thing is supposed to be like bad value or something, but to be honest with you, I just need a warm body to occupy the motherboard. Newegg had it for like 20 bucks more than the 7600X, I believe it was. I figured, what the heck. I can skimp on a couple 4x4s for a week. Ooh. Oh, that's very pretty. What a weird looking CPU. It's smaller in person. I thought it was gonna be bigger. Hold on. So here's like a classic AMD CPU, you know, the A10-9700E, absolute classic. But the substrate is the exact same dimensions, just about. But the IHS on the new one is so much smaller. I don't know why I thought this, but I thought that like this whole entire IHS was gonna take up the footprint of just like the what do you call these? The tentacular bits. Hold on, this one says remove. On all the Intel ones I've done, you kind of just leave that there. Wait. What is that? There's no way, dude. There's no way. Oh, okay. We're good. Just a little piece of black smegma. I was getting a little pissy there for a second. This thing took a while to show up. I don't remember if I finished my thought, but on all the Intel LGA systems I've built, this, you kind of just put the whole thing down and the black thing pops off. You don't have to remove it. So we're just gonna do that. Will it pop off? Yes. How can I apply my thermal paste in a way that will piss the least people off? I'm just gonna do one of these. Do a little bit of spreading around. There we go. That looks good to me. Oh, I didn't even show you guys the cooler. We are going with the Apponix App1V. I've never heard of this brand. It might be very bad, but look at it. It looks kind of cool and Wii-esque. Oh, this thing is kind of huge. Holy crap, this is enormous. This is way bigger than I thought it was gonna be. Okay, this is huge. So it's kind of just your tower cooler and your fan. Wait, is this metal? This is metal!
In your lungs.
What? Okay, this is kind of dope. I thought it was gonna be cheap and small and not very good, but I actually really like this. This is cool. God help you if you ever have to replace the fan. Oh, it came with its own scraper. Garbage I found on the floor should work just as well. Take the hard mode sticker off. On we go. Very nice. Ah, that wasn't too bad. This actually looks really cool. I'm really glad I went with this cooler. Hopefully it actually cools. Let's give her a test boot. And I believe these fancy new Ryzens have built-in graphics. And we'll give her a little... And there it is. Look at my boy, all independent and stuff. He don't need no GPU. Whoa, even the BIOS is white. I've never seen a BIOS with such little seasoning. There's even a search in... What the heck? Gaming. Oh, this isn't a gaming motherboard. All right, well, save, yes. Now I get to put it in the case.
It is all put together, and I gotta admit, it looks pretty damn cool. This CPU cooler is just, oh, I love that thing. There's our beautiful ass rock GPU. Its job is to sit there and look pretty and don't get too hot. I think it'll probably do that just fine. So I built it just like a normal computer right now because I can either build a computer or mod a computer. I'm not multi-talented like that. I can't do them at the same time. So hopefully this thing works so then we can get to installing all the other Wii bits. And, oh, there we go. There's our white BIOS. Beautiful. I have precariously placed the Wii U motherboard under the GPU, upside down. I wanted to see how hot it's gonna get. Ooh, buddy. That's a little too roasty toasty for me. And that's without the CPU really doing much of anything. So, we're not gonna be able to do plate side up, unfortunately. It looks so cool and it reflects the RGB and everything, but like, that's pretty hot. It just keeps going up. I've come to my senses and realized that the GPU that's going to be above the motherboard is not a good cooling solution, because the fans on the GPU are not always spinning. And if this is on but the GPU is being lazy, this doesn't get cooled. That's not going to work. But we need a cooling solution that is going to be no taller than the heatsink itself. That leaves us with one of my favorite kinds of fans, the gaming turbine. But there is currently one problem with this fan. Yeah, it's a bit loud. In order to tame the beast, we're gonna have to limit the voltage on this thing. For this thing to be at a manageable noise level, it's gonna have to run somewhere down around 4 volts. And see, that's not too bad. Nice and quiet. It also puts out enough airflow though that should still more than cool this thing. Remember, the stock fan was this. Yeah, this radial fan will be fine. I wanted to run the fan even lower, like 3.3 volts, because that's a very easy voltage to run this thing off of, because the Wii U motherboard has a handful of voltages that it provides. I think it's 15 volts, 5 volts, 3.3 volts, and then like 1 volt. And we gotta figure out which one of those voltages to run this thing off of. 3.3 is nice and quiet, and we're still getting a decent amount of airflow. But the problem with 3.3 volts, watch this, I'll turn it off, and then I'll turn it back on. See, look at that. It can't kick over. But if we bring it up to 4 volts, that's enough to get started. So our nearest neighbor to 4 volts is 5 volts. To go from 5 volts to 4 volts, we're gonna need some, where are they? Some resistors. I'm no electrical engineer, but I know if you put 2 of these together in series, these are 4.7 ohm resistors, it will drop the voltage from 5 volts to 4 volts. Those things are gonna be a little roasty toasty because they're gonna take some of that voltage and just turn it into heat, but that's all right, we didn't need that voltage anyway. So if we twist these boys up together, stick one end in the fan, stick the other on the power supply, we can now run this thing on 5 volts, but not quite as loud as normal 5 volts. The reason we're using 2 of these in series, by the way, is because they can deal with the heat a little better. I think with just one resistor, it was gonna get a little too hot.
Now we just gotta find a 5-volt point on the motherboard and we'll be good to go. Finding 5 volts here should not be very hard. We're just gonna turn it on, connect our negative terminal to the ground plane on the edge here, and then kind of just start poking stuff. We should find 5 volts near USB ports because USB is 5 volts. And I could just tap directly into a USB port, but I was hoping to find something a little bit closer to the heatsink. So let's touch this big old thing. Oh, that's what I was saying earlier. There's our 3.3 volts. What about this big boy? That's a 1.5 volt. This one? Hey, there's 5 volts. Okay, so we'll solder our fan to the edge of this giant component here. And hopefully that's not something that I shouldn't be doing. And just like that, we've got a nice little cooling solution for our Wii U. Oh. Why is that so loud? That's not supposed to be that loud. Oh, it's smoking. Okay, hold on. Huh. So... what? Oh, it was our resistors. Oh, they could not handle that. Okay. Okay, well, yeah, never mind with that. We're just gonna take that back off. Huh, okay. Well, that sucks. I don't really know what to do now. I don't really want to pull 5 volts from the USB ports. The USB current on the Wii U is really limited. Hold on, what kind of voltage do we get out of the regular fan port? Okay, the stock fan runs at 5 volts, but clearly our resistors can't handle that. That's really weird. It worked on the variable power supply. Why did it go literally up in smoke this time? The few electrical engineers that are watching this mess, I would love an explanation for that. I'm guessing my resistors do not resist the correct amount anymore. Oh, no, they do. Okay, what if I just stuck that in the fan port? I'm just gonna kind of touch it in there. Oh, well, that seems like the right speed. Okay, note to self, this was likely obvious to everyone but me, but maybe plug the fan into the place where the fan is supposed to go and not into a mysterious component on the motherboard. I've held it here for about a minute now. Our resistors do not appear to be smoking. They're not even hot. Okay, that will do. Now we've got a good fan setup. With this thing mostly planned out, we can get down to dealing with some of the smaller parts of this build, like the cable for the optical drive. I guess small is kind of mean. It's really average sized. And since this build is gonna be above average, we're gonna need to extend that cable. Putting Wii U DVD drive extension cable into Amazon is not gonna get you anywhere, and stretching it isn't proven to work. So what's the move here? Well, I took a bunch of measurements of the cable, and I was able to determine that it has 28 pins, is 14.5 millimeters wide, and has a pitch of 0.5 millimeter. Pitch meaning the spacing of the pins relative to each other. And this kind of cable is called an FFC cable, which stands for Flat Flexible Cable. So if we change our Amazon search to 28 pin, 0.5 millimeter pitch FFC cable, well, look what we have here. This cable right here is everything ours measured up to be, and most importantly, contrary to popular belief, it's got the thickness. Unfortunately, it isn't even 6 inches long, but despite our similarities, this cable is still our best shot since it's the only one with 28 pins on here. I also picked up this 8-inch 30-pin cable that came with this coupler. A 28-pin cable will technically fit into a 30-pin connector. There's just gonna be a little bit of room on the sides, so you probably shouldn't do it. And that cable actually showed up before the 28-pin one did. So, I let an intrusive thought win. What is a 30-pin cable, if not a 28-pin cable that just needs a little trimming? Oh, I can hear it. No way, it actually reads it. I thought that was way too sketchy to work. And then I found this super long one on AliExpress, so never mind. The front button panel cable is the same story, except this time I did the tried and true method of sticking some random crap that I had laying around into the socket, but lo and behold...
Oh, what? It just works? There's no way that just works. It just works!
I originally bought these cables to hook up USB ports to the prison laptop. Who would have thought that they would be perfect for hooking up a Wii U faceplate? Just in case this cable is too short though, I was also able to find a 12-inch version, which is probably what we're gonna end up using later. In order to get the DVD drive mounted up, we're gonna have to convert it from the Wii U optical drive mounting standard to the PC 5.25-inch bay mounting standard. The fitment is just barely off, so we're gonna have to make some spacers that fill out the slot better, as well as move the mounting holes to the right place for a PC DVD drive. I've got some of these countersunk M3 screws lying around, and they're the right length, but definitely not the right thread. It's okay. You love this. And now we have a nicely fitting drive for the worst media format. The GameCube controller adapter is next, and taking it completely apart down to the PCB is gonna let us save some space, since we have to fit like 100,000 things on this faceplate. Measuring the distance between objects while trying to roughly float them around in 3D space is one of the most difficult parts of projects like this. Even with pretty precise tools, your first measurement is almost always gonna be crap, and you're gonna have to iterate over your design several times before you can get it just right. I got the controller port mount pretty damn close on my first test print, but the clips that hold the ports in place were just a fraction of a millimeter off, and it made them fit too loose. Luckily, the bamboo printers are so damn fast that I can just work on revising and adding new features to this part while having another one ready for testing when I'm finished. And speaking of iterating, there were a whole lot of iterations trying to get the mount for the buttons from the front of the Wii U just right. The power, eject, and sync buttons are all nicely packaged into this housing, and I figured instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, I would just reinvent the entire business side of the faceplate. Holy shit, what a mistake. This was really fucking hard. This has the potential to suck because it's still just an approximation of the real thing, but you bet your ass it beats trying to measure the exact position of all these tiny little walls. I'll admit, I had some doubts that this printer would be able to make 0.5 millimeter thin walls that didn't instantly crumble. You know, 0.5 millimeter? Yeah, that's the thickness of your fingernail, by the way. But no, look at this. These are great. It actually did amazing. And not too bad for a bed slinger. The sync button is weird in that it doesn't have an electronic button in this housing. The actual sync button is on the motherboard. And I'm not making a medieval rope and pulley system to get the physical press here to end up there. So I'm just gonna make my own sync button. We're gonna need access to the buttons on those USB switches as well. And we're gonna do that by creating a little 2-button module in the same fashion as the sync button. That was terrifying. The SD card adapter mounts up nice and easy with a little bit of double-sided tape, and it gets sandwiched in with this plate. And that right there is a mostly completed faceplate. This has been by far the biggest time sink of this entire project, and it is quite possibly the most complex thing that I have ever designed. It's true that making it so that everything can be unscrewed and removed and replaced really does complicate things, but have you ever had to unglue glue? Ugh! Speaking of making things easier to take apart, I bought this little pre-crimped mini JST connector kit to easily connect the front panel buttons to wherever they need to go, but to also be able to easily disconnect them when I need to pull everything back out again. And because of them, now our USB switches can be remotely switched from the front panel. They've also got that nice floppy wet spaghetti feel. It's not sponsored, by the way, just a cool product. Thanks, Alec Hawk. To get the sync button working, we're gonna need to do a little bit of irreparable harm to the Wii U motherboard. With some scalding hot air, we can desolder the existing sync button to reveal 3 solder pads? What the fuck? You know, buttons usually only have 2 connections. I have no idea what alternate universe buttons Nintendo is using here. But if we want to wire ours up, we gotta figure out which 2 of the 3 solder pads correspond to a sync button signal. And there's probably a correct way to do this, but I mean, there's only 3 possible combinations of wires that the button could be. So I don't know, I mean, fuck it, we'll just touch them together until something desirable happens. In our case, the right pads were 1 and 2. Tie the wires off to this hole right here for strain relief. Solder up a JST connector to pads 1 and 2. And boys and girls, the buttons, ports, and switches on our faceplate are now all functional. Wiring and routing all these cables all over the place was an incredibly pleasant experience as someone who loves it when his life fucking sucks. I'm not gonna go over all the connections in here since you kinda got the gist of it earlier when I was doing the proof of concept, but there were some real interesting and real stupid issues that I encountered along the way, mostly USB ones. Remember, we can't use any of these USB 2 headers down here because they push the motherboard too far out, so that leaves us with that single right angle USB 3 header and this Type-C header. We're gonna have 3 internal USB devices to connect, and also the pair of USB ports on the top that I want to keep functional. That gives us 5 USB devices that need plugging in. The USB 3 header on the motherboard is good for 2 ports, so with that plus the Type-C header, we only have 3 internal USB ports to work with. Hub time. I knew going into this that there would be some Type A plugs involved from the capture card and the GameCube controller adapter and the Wii game SSD, so that's why I'm using an external USB hub internally and not an internal USB hub internally. Those things also just give me the creeps. I don't know. I don't like them. I ripped the hub's face off to fit better and then mounted it up with a few zip ties because I cannot be bothered to make a fancy 3D printed bracket for this one. In order to actually hook up our hub, we're gonna adapt its Type A port to the motherboard's USB 3 header with this dual female USB A to female USB 3 header adapter. We sure as hell don't need this PCI bracket thing, so off that comes. And 2 zip ties later, we now have 2 internally mounted USB Type A ports. Using that same adapter but gender bent, we can adapt the top panel's USB 3 header cable into a couple of male Type A plugs. By plugging those into our hub, we now have functional top panel USB ports. The USB switches for the Wii game SSD and the GameCube controller adapter can occupy those other 2 ports, which leaves us with 1 free root port that's directly connected to the motherboard. Since this port is not connected through the hub, this port's gonna be the fastest one available, so it's gonna go to the capture card. I'm just gonna slide this EVGA XR1 Lite all nice and snug among the cables from the USB switches that are mounted with my most embarrassing 3D print of this project right here, and then connect it up to that last USB port. What a fucking disaster. That hub is also going to need external 5-volt power, as well as the GameCube controller adapter, and 12 volts is going to need to get run to the boost converter. SATA hard drives, being the needy f***s they are, also happen to need 5 and 12 volts. So if we chop the heads off a couple of SATA plugs, strip a whole bunch of wires, and tediously attach a bunch of connectors, we can make this adapter to siphon the power that's supposed to be going to a SATA hard drive for our own stinky, unnatural Wii U purposes. Hey, that's kind of like what we do to cows.
So everything is more or less hooked up now. The GPU has not been installed because it's just gonna complicate this thing even further. We do not need that right now. Boost converter is hastily mounted up right there. Funky little fan grill thing in the back is preventing some of the USB cables from trying to get annihilated by the fan. Oh, wait, why is the LED on? Computer's not on. Power on? Oh, so the LED's just on all the time? The computer appears to be powering on. Okay, it's pissy about resolution or something. I'm not worried about it. Let's throw a keyboard on there. You know which one. And then ideally you would do your capturing in like OBS or something. Just for now, we will use the camera app. Okay, the camera app is pulling from the capture card. And now we just turn it on. Good luck, buddy. Don't blow up. Oh, gamepad just turned on. And we get video? No way. The DVD drive's going, I can hear it. Watch this, we can even spit out the disc. Yep, there it goes. And there it is. Oh my goodness, and there's the gamepad. We're booted! This is wild. Okay, there's one thing not working yet, and it is the SD card adapter. So this is a whole thing. It turns out I had to route it between the bottom of the case and like the DVD drive top, and it was not long enough doing that, so I put another little one on, but that isn't long enough to get to the slot, just barely. So that has to get figured out still. So for now, SD card's just in there. I'll deal with that later. But what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna load up the regular Wii menu. I'll load up USB loader. Can't find the hard drive. Okay, so then we'll switch it. Wasn't that one? Okay, we'll switch it. Okay, switches are working great. Man, I don't know what's going on. No matter what I did, no matter how I cycled the hard drive to the PC, to the Wii and back, I unhid the partition, nothing would get it to show up. I swapped out the cable, didn't work. The only thing that's getting it to work now is using a USB extension cable to the Wii U, going directly to the SSD. And now it works. I don't understand, we tested this earlier. Okay. I unplugged and replugged the SSD and it just works. Cool. Problem solved. Okay, now I want to test to see if the GameCube controllers are working okay on the PC. This controller absolutely fucks, in case you were wondering. So we hit this switch, press this button, adapter detected, input registering. You know what? I think everything works. Ugh, now I actually have to finish it.
I want to still be able to connect the Wii U to a TV or monitor directly for a lowest latency video option, so I'm going to go from the capture card's HDMI pass-through to this HDMI panel mount plug. By dremeling out the PCI bracket from one of the USB 3 adapters from earlier, whole lot of new table lore with that one. We can fit this up to the back of the PC with 3D printed bracket number 473. I'm comfortable with where the faceplate is at now, so I think we're gonna do a final print in this pearlescent white filament. And since my A1 has the AMS multicolor system, I can print text directly onto the face of the print to give each button and switch a label. And for the labels, I was thinking this nice blue filament. It reminds me of the same shade of blue that a bunch of Wii era stuff had on it, you know, this blue. Except I'm not, because you can barely read this. Light on light. What was I thinking? No, screw the blue. We're going high contrast. White and black. That's better. Okay, just about done. However, it has been a very long time since I've put the graphics card back in, and I want to make sure that everything is all good in the graphics department. Because we've got the little HDMI bracket bobber thing there that might hit this thing. I hope not. This thing barely makes it with the Wii U sensor bar port right there. I still got to figure out a solution to these antennas, but that's not a now problem. So is everything still good in this Wii U hood? Oh boy. No. No! It hits the cover for the power boost converter! No! Oh, just barely! Oh, wait, I made this adjustable. Okay, adjustable is a strong word. Why make things with precision when you can kind of just guess and then call it adjustable later? Is that it? Oh. Oh, that's it. Oh, gotta yank out the gaming cables. Oh, come on, we're so close. These things haven't seen sunlight in a while. Why are you being so difficult to get at? It could not possibly be because I just shoved all of the power supply cables in the corner. No, absolutely not. Oh, there we go. Connect that back up. Connect that up. That light's not supposed to be on. I'm not gonna worry about that though. HDMI in the gaming port. And we got a computer. But do we have a Wii U? We'll just open the Wii U plate. Power on?
Nope.
Power on?
Nope.
Hello? Power on?
Nope.
Okay, new fun issue. If I had to guess, it would just be because of this guy. Am I right? No. What the hell? Okay, power cycle? Oh, Christ. Yeah, that was shorting on the thing. Oh boy. Man, I really dislike these antennas. How about now? Yep, that was it. I'm gonna be lucky if this thing isn't bricked. What do we got? What do we got? No. No. This is a little uncomfortable. Okay, I'll take that. That's good, that's fine, we're good. Holy crap, I thought I was about to have to say I'm glad I caught that on video. I don't want to have to catch that on video. I want it to just work. Okay, I need a spot for these antennas pronto. Everything else works. Shut down. All right, little bonus quest while we're here. Does the side panel still go on? Oh, oh. Man, if that was glass, I would be so f***ed. Can't really tell from the video, but oh yeah, she's got a baby bump. Probably should take care of this like raw PCB and little metal parts poking through though, because I'd be surprised if that was not making direct contact. We'll just kinda, yeah. This is the NASA way to do it. And there we go. Problem beyond solved. Man, that GPU's middle fan is so screwed. I kind of want to see, I want to run 3D Mark and see what temperature it gets up to now.
And it looks like we've got a GPU temperature of, oh, that's not bad, 62 degrees Celsius. I knew it. I knew this was going to be a good card to get. Look at that cooler. That is a big ass cooler for a 7600 non-XT. Absolutely mint. New cooling duct, this time with these little anchor points on it. We're just gonna stick that in there, attach the highly sophisticated mounting system. And now the reason for these anchor points is so that we can put the antennas somewhere. The whole motherboard and all that is gonna get covered up anyway, so I don't really care how this looks. Kinda put that there. This one can go here. Oh, it's beautiful. Another elegant solution from yours truly. I am encountering a very strange new issue. So I'm using my phone with a hotspot for the Wi-Fi on this thing just to show you what's going on. If we go to connect to the internet, nope, not gonna happen. However, if we take the phone and we put it right there, So it connects now, but it's taken a really long time to do it. It's been trying to do this for like a minute. However, if we then take the phone and we put it right here. Okay, it's still taking forever. This worked better earlier. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that all of my antennas being zip tied to that thing. Oh, hey, look, it actually worked. But having to keep the Wi-Fi source, like 4 inches away, I don't know if that's reasonable. Okay, I did a little bit of research on BitBuilt. It turns out that the Wi-Fi module is the 2.4 gigahertz one, and plugged into that module is the white and black antenna wires. The black antenna is taped to the side of that fan, and I'm not really sure what it does because I freed the white wire. And now look at this, phone's over here, connection test, and look at that, we're gaming. So that white wire needs a better home. Shouldn't be that hard to figure out. Alright, I've been sticking the antenna around the case in random places, and other than literally just hanging it out the case, right under the cooler for the CPU here seems to be the best spot for it. I think it wants to be outside of the case as far as possible, and the cooler is the closest thing it's gonna get, because I gotta mount it to something. But if we run a connection test and then quickly kind of throw it right roughly there, this is easily the fastest connection test out of anywhere in the case. And this is to my home Wi-Fi. This is not to the hotspot. So I guess we're gonna have to mount this under the cooler. And there we go. Problem solved. Yeah, right, who am I kidding? That didn't work at all. I noticed a very bizarre phenomenon where if I held onto the antenna with my fingers, the connection would get better. And I think it's because the solder joint to the ground there got loose and completely disconnected. There's actually 2 wires running through this wire. There's the signal wire and the ground wire. You can see the signal wires in that little translucent jacket there. And I think the outer ground shielding got loose. So let me try and resolder that. Antenna repaired. Time to do a speed test on the only speed test website that works on the Wii U. Test my download. All right, what do we get? 5.2 megabits per second. You know, something tells me that's probably normal for this thing. And you know, I'm sick of moving this thing around. I think I'm just gonna hang it out the back. That'll be fine. You know what? The Wi-Fi works. I'm gonna take it. Plays Wii, Wii U, and GameCube games natively. Plays any PC game you can think of natively. It can also emulate the console that I just spent the last month putting inside of it, but hey, out of respect for me, we're not gonna go there. Was it worth the effort? I'll let you know when the AdSense revenue comes in. You know, if I had a nickel for every time I did a bizarre Wii project on this channel, I would do this to them. Oh, I turned it neochrome. He's laughing at you. The skull is laughing at you. I hate circular currency! I'm glad to say there finally exists a PC built entirely with Scott the Woz in mind, and I'm glad I built it. Join me next time when I game on a magnifying glass or something. I'll see you in the next one. Go buy a Bringus shirt. Oh, wait, hold on. Bringus magnets! Coming soon to a Bringus store near you. They're not out yet. These things take time. I'll see you in the next one.